The Midnight Light of San Giovanni. The winter of 1922 had draped the hills of San Giovanni Rotondo in a heavy blanket of white. Inside the stone walls of the friary, the air was crisp and smelled of melted wax and old incense. Lucia stood by the narrow window, watching the snowflakes dance in the moonlight. She had come to spend Christmas Eve in prayer, waiting for the midnight bells to call the faithful to Mass. The corridors were silent, save for the faint whistling of the wind outside. Lucia decided to walk toward the interior staircase, her boots clicking softly on the cold floor. She felt a strange pull toward the hallway, leading to the friar's cells. It wasn't a sense of intrusion, but a sudden, inexplicable warmth that seemed to push back the winter chill. As she reached the corner, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Pio, the friar everyone spoke of with such hushed reverence. He was walking slowly, his head bowed, moving with a grace that seemed to defy his physical frailty. Lucia stepped back into the shadows of an alcove, not wanting to disturb his meditation. But as he drew closer, Lucia realized that Pio's hands were no longer hidden. He was cradling something against his chest, holding it with the utmost tenderness. It wasn't a book or a crucifix. A soft, pulse-like radiance began to fill the hallway, emanating from the bundle in his arms. Lucia gasped, pressing her back against the cold stone. The radiance grew until it was as bright as a summer morning. In the center of the light, Lucia saw a tiny, living child. The infant was not wrapped in rags, but seemed to be clothed in the light itself. He was beautiful beyond description, with eyes that held the depth of the night sky and the warmth of 1,000 suns. Pio stopped for a moment, unaware of his witness. He looked down at the child with a smile of such pure, agonizing love that Lucia felt tears prick her eyes. He whispered words that the wind carried away, but his expression told the story of a man who was holding the very heart of the universe in his scarred hands. Lucia remained frozen, her heart racing. She saw the baby reach up and touch Pio's cheek with a tiny palm. In that moment, the entire friary seemed to vanish, replaced by a sense of infinite peace. She realized she wasn't just seeing a vision, she was witnessing a homecoming. Then, as quickly as the light had intensified, it began to soften. Pio continued his walk toward the chapel, the glow trailing behind him like the tail of a falling star. The shadows of the hallway slowly reclaimed their territory, but the warmth remained, settling deep into the marrow of Lucia's bones. Lucia stepped out from the alcove, her legs trembling. She walked to the spot where Pio had stood and looked down. There were no footprints in the dust, no physical sign of what had occurred, yet the air smelled of lilies and fresh roses, a scent that shouldn't have existed in the heart of a frozen Italian winter. Later that night, during the midnight mass, Lucia watched Pio at the altar. He looked tired, his shoulders stooped under the weight of his duties, but there was a secret light in his eyes that only she understood. She knew then that the greatest miracles are often the ones that happen in the quiet dark, witnessed by those who are simply willing to watch and believe.